Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for February 20, 2023, the President's Day edition. And we begin with a story from the Wall Street Journal, Risk and Compliance Journal, Dylan Tokar reporting that Glenn Ozdemel and Eduardo Anexio were indicted for FCPA violations regarding allegations of bribery against Petrobras. This comes out of the car wash Lava Jato affair, and these were oil traders. So if you're a trading company, you really need to look at that from the compliance perspective. Next up, from MSNBC, Steve Bannon reporting, the Justice Department, Maine Justice, has taken over the corruption probe into Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Paxton recently settled the whistleblower lawsuit against him, claiming that he couldn't be alleged to have engaged in corruption because he was the Texas Attorney General. Now all of the corruption accusations against him are going up to Maine Justice, to the department's public integrity section, which prosecutes allegations of official misconduct against elected officials. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens to Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Next up, China's top investment banker is missing. When a top industrialist or financial chief in China goes missing for multiple days, they generally turn up guilty for some corruption allegation, and that may be what's on the go here, but of course we don't know. And then our final story is a fascinating fight involving the law firm Denton's, where a California-based partner has trying to claim a part of a contingency fee that he won at Denton's. Denton's fired him over his claims. And California, he claims that under California law, companies cannot have an arbitration clause which prevents litigation outside of California courts. Of course, Denton's is a New York firm, and they claim that this is subject to arbitration in New York, even whether or not he was an arbitrator. So it's a clear attempt by Denton's to eviscerate the California labor statute, and the California Supreme Court agreed with that analysis, or at least that argument, by the Denton partner. Even though he is listed as an equity partner, the reality is the law firm's a corporation or some type of other business unit, not a partnership. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. Lots of comity issues, as we say in law school. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.